Hiya. Today is December 20th. Christmas is in 5 pesos. So, naturally, I don't have presents for everybody. And my car's destroyed, so I can't go to work or get presents for people. So, I have to make something for them. Today, I'm making something for my sister. I'm talking a little quiet because she's literally in the other room. But she's watching TV, so it should be okay. I'm going to be making her... You can probably see it there. Probably can't. The amulet from Supernatural called Samulet by people. I've never seen the show. I think I watched like the first episode, but I'm going to be making that out of polymer clay. Haven't really done much polymer claying or sculpting in general. I'll show you an example of what I've done before behind me. But yeah, let's just get in. First thing we're going to need to do though is find reference. So... over to that. Forgive the overlay where it says down here, my YouTube channel name is Skeleton Bones. That's my gaming channel. This is what I usually use for when I stream. So over here for reference, we have, I don't know if this, I assume this is real. I know there are real prop sites that actually sell props from shows and stuff. I don't know if this is a well-vetted one or anything, but this says it's got the actual amulet. $20,000 seems insane, but it's what it does have is not only good close-up pictures of it, but you can also, okay, it's not going to do it in non-full screen mode, but also you can zoom in, which is super useful. Already what I can tell is that things are a little lopsided. The eyes are not on the same level. The mouth is lopsided. The right ear looks a little lower than the left ear. You know, things aren't perfectly perfect, so that's cool. It does not seem to have a picture of the back of the head, but looking up other pictures, it did seem like the back of the head has like a ridge or something sort of similar to the nose, but all the way down the back of the head. So I'll just have to keep that in mind when I'm making it. Very important to keep these loops on the side. Looking up a picture of it, like a bunch of different versions show up. Like this one is super flat and doesn't look anything like it, and the circle is facing towards you. And then all these faces are sort of like sort of perfectly symmetrical. It's got a different nose. It's got a design here, whereas on allegedly the real one, it's pretty soft. I'm just gonna work off the assumption that this is the closest to the one in the show possible. This says it's from the show. I'm gonna assume it's from the show. But like, look at this. We got super flat ones. We got ones that are, this one's just a jet engine. They come in all different shapes. See, like this has got like a ridge on the back of the head, but it's also a 3D model. Here's the one, closer one for the, I think this is a shot from the show. So this is pretty much the best example of my experience of polymer clay. This is the only real instance of something that I made that I kept. It's been sitting in a box gathering dust and sitting on something that was white and blue, I guess, for a couple years. Whatever varnish I used for it, probably like a spray can of glossy varnish or something, must not have been properly mixed or something because it's still sticky to this day. So it's covered in hair and dust and stuff. It's a little Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, and I think especially the paint job turned out quite nice. It's kind of like a little rotten apple kind of looking thing, and I love it. Today I got some Sculpey Primo. Not quite sure what the difference is, but the display at the store said this one was good for jewelry, so I figured that should be good enough, right? It feels pretty soft already. But I know you're supposed to condition it. I watched a few tutorials this morning on how to use polymer clay. I could not find my actual sculpting tools, but I found a bunch of things that I had that were similar enough. And I'd like to try this as a metallic wax by Bella Rose. I'm hoping to try this out and hope it looks a little better than a gold or a brass colored paint, which I do have. But now I gotta condition this, which is just, you can see it's quite brittle. Just gotta basically mush it all together over and over until it's malleable and clay-like, I guess. This is gonna take a while. As you can't feel, my fingers are sufficiently in pain, so I think I did a good job. I made several little islands worth of clay. As you can see, hopefully, the clay very much picks up all your little fingerprints and stuff. So hopefully to combat that, I got some gloves. It's looking like I need a ball shape. I was going to use aluminum foil as a armature, basically, something to model around, but I don't have any. So I will make this a ball, and then I will immediately remember that I meant to put gloves on. You know, this looks like those Easter candy, the egg things that are like, got like the candy shell around the chocolate. Okay, so what this needs, a face and a neck, and then a sort of crown shape. This seems pretty good size for the head. Maybe I can start to block out sort of shape for the neck by just pushing this clay in a little. Maybe I could start to pull this out. This is the sort of tedious part of sculpting. I usually do 3D sculpting in Blender or something, so that has a very convenient undo button. I think I've reached a point with the head shaping currently. It's not good. Don't worry, you gotta trust in the process. Where I can't really go on any further without at least sketching out where the pieces of the face lie. So nothing was particularly perfect. So let's say we have a happy little eyeball right here, about equal. A hair lower, but darn it, I've made it perfectly equal. That's okay. We don't make mistakes here. We just pretend to be experts on materials we've never used before. We're gonna have a nose in the middle, which I'm gonna use a separate piece of clay for. And the mouth is certainly not straight. Like, it's not straight across like you'd think it is. It's actually lopsided at a diagonal. But we're gonna need a nose. So we're gonna set this guy off to the side over here. We're gonna grab this. We're gonna noodle it. Classic noodle. And then with this noodle, I do the wed. Oh, SpongeBob. Very Squidward-like nose right now. Just trying to merge this in here. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to exist. The thing you gotta remember is that these things weren't exactly made in a factory. Presumably, again, I haven't seen the show, but presumably they were handmade by someone. And the cool thing about handmade things is that they aren't perfect. They're almost never symmetrical. They've always got flaws. As Laura Kampf would say, every defect gets respect, which is a nice sentiment. You know, it's kind of hard to sculpt like this, as my face is, I don't know, a good 1.5 feet away from the actual model. When you don't have a multi-million-dollar studio, you make do. When all you've got is a cell phone and a shelf to place it on. You know, there's a perfect art channel out there called Drawfee. If you never watched it, I suggest you do. It's just incredible. And one of their classic sayings by Karina Drawfee is delete your art. Don't be afraid to delete your art. You know, if you're not feeling it, undo it, delete it, restart it, do what you gotta do. And that's exactly what I just did with this guy. I tore off his neck. As you can see, the proportions were really throwing my mind off. In fact, I'll remove this stick too. Try and get these proportions right, and I can always add the neck later. Right now his face is looking very lopsided, which is fine. Let's make this mouth smaller by coming in here, poking at the sides. As you can see, the really long mouth just became more appropriately sized. Get in here too, smooth this out. The cool thing about polymer clay is that I can just leave this sitting on the desk probably for years and it'll never dry out. It'll just get crumbly. All you gotta do is rework it. Actually, I want to give him some cheekbones. I can work those out. But what I need to do is fix the chin, because on the reference, the chin is quite round. It's more pointed than square. I could just, of course, just do something like this, just squeeze it with my hand. And now we're getting somewhere. But you know, as an artist, no one's a bigger critic of your work than yourself, right? We need more of a forehead. That's what's missing. Squishies, bring them out. Give me forehead. Bring me the horizon. More like, bring me the forehead. Build up the forehead from the back. Oh my goodness. This is what I'm talking about. You gotta watch out. Push it a little in. Ooh, now you're looking a little more like Sloth from the Goonies. It's okay. Nothing is ruined. Bring it all back. The only thing you've wasted is time. Oh, I lost the chin. And look how long I made his head now. Alright, I'm gonna reform this head off camera. You've seen pretty much how I've been doing it, and that's all I'm gonna keep doing. It's just going back and forth, reforming this head. gonna shove this one in over here. And now that the eyes are in place, I can start building up the forehead above the eyes and the cheeks going into the eyes. But if you look at the reference, you'll see that the eyeballs aren't really eyes so much as they are. If you ever seen Inuit snow masks, it's kind of like eyeball holes but with slits in them to act sort of as sunglasses. And that is what these eyeballs look like to me in the reference. They're just mounds with slits in them. So, you know what's incredible is that after all that, I fudged the face up because while I was working on one thing, I had my finger over here crushing it. So, I'm gonna do something drastic. Again, delete your art. I'm gonna chop this face off, set this aside, and I'm gonna work with it like this, because if I can just keep the back of the head flat, then I can easily attach that to a structure later. I kind of don't want to mess with this left side of the face. You gotta do what you gotta do. Then, while this is flat, I can just add more material to the sides and the uppers and the downers and reform that way. It was totally my fault. I wasn't paying attention. It's hard to keep holding on. As you could see, this thing used to be a ball and it just kept getting longer and longer and longer because I kept squeezing on it, trying to hold the thing in place. I'm sure there's a much more elegant solution to something like that. And I'm really just gonna do this. Just gonna attach it to the side of the head like so. I'll make a sort of equal piece for the other side. And maybe even a little for the top. Now it's looking a little, well, probably not safe for YouTube, but let's just say HR Geeker-esque, Georgia O'Keeffe perhaps. And now I'm just gonna go back in and start reforming. You can see immediately we're getting more to work with there. Just remember, or if you don't know, look up the anatomy of a human face, because of course we added the eyeballs, we added the cheeks, but what did we forget? That's right, the eyebrows. Eyeballs aren't just balls that stick out of the side of the head, they're inset into a little slot. And then you got the eyebrow coming out over that. You gotta remember to put that eyebrow in there, because the eyebrow makes up the forehead. Don't be afraid if you accidentally damage the good stuff you've already done. You've done it once before, you can do it again. It's giving more George Washington or Kevin Spacey instead of like sort of Aztec or Egyptian or what have you that I'm getting with this. And I can't quite tell what I'm doing wrong. I feel like the face needs to be flatter and wider. It is hard to tell. Or maybe I'm just being thrown off because it doesn't have ears in the helmet. Let me throw on some ears. So I put in the ears and I realized the face was too tall, so I shortened it up. And then I looked at the nose. It was too high and skinny, so I flashed it down. Flashed? I pushed it down. Flattened it. That's the word I meant to say. I tried to say flatten and push. I flashed it down and immediately started to look better, but then after like shaping the nose more, it was too long, so I cut off the end of the nose, cut off the sides of the nose. I'm going to round that over, smooth it out, and try and push the mouth up a little. But it's already looking way less Caucasian, which is a good thing. So what we have here is a face. It's turning out okay. It's not as bad as I remember fearing. It's hard to sand the face. So I'm hoping eventually when I put this wax on there, assuming that is, or a coat of paint, it'll help smooth it out even further. The only thing I don't really care for, besides not being able to get the face to look like it's supposed to, is that the face is quite flat and concave. Whereas the reference image, the face is round, convex. Considering every single one of these I've seen online, even like official replicas or whatever, don't even look like the one used on screen, I think it'll be okay enough. It's taken 2 days to get to this point. So this used to be the flat head, the flat face that I sculpted on the thing. And then I just set that aside and was like, okay, this is bad. How do you sculpt something round? And then I remembered you could just bake round things to start sculpting off of. And while that certainly did work, I could not get a face to look more like that face or the face on the reference. I just decided to go back to this and then make it round. I believe this is it. The final bit of clay work. I just did a loop around his head, the double loops around the shaft. It doesn't look like the reference, but I think we're getting close enough. And here we are. Perfect. One coat of brown paint later and some sanding. It's not perfect, but it exists. You can probably tell what it is if you know what it is, right? Now it is time to go to painting. I dropped it again. Yesterday, I tried out this gilding wax for like gold leafing or faking gold leafing on like old picture frames or something. I tried that on a spare bit of clay and then it immediately dropped on the floor, so it's covered in dog hair. The wax takes 4 hours to dry. Does leave a glittery sparkle behind, and it seems durable enough actually. I carved little chunks into it to see if the wax would fill in the chunks, and it definitely did. Let's see. It doesn't really seem to leave fingerprints behind. I don't anticipate this is something that she'll be touching often. Maybe she'll put it on a shelf or something, which is perfectly fine. And the finish itself seems pretty durable. And you know, apparently you can burnish it once it's dry to try and get oh, some of it's coming off there. Burnish it to get a lustery sheen. Okay, that actually works way better than I thought. I was actually just gonna paint it because I didn't think the wax was going to work well. But what I will do is paint over the wax to see if I can dull down the gold, because the original piece is more like a brass than a gold. If you paint it over the shiny versus just painting on the clay, it does still keep the shininess of the gold paint as opposed to just being the brown. Granted, I did use a different kind of brown. That's red. That dried immediately. Now the wax does leave a texture behind and a tackiness. Fudge it. We'll just paint everything. Get in all the little crevices. And this is just round one of painting. I realize this brass color's looking pretty brown, I understand that, but I'm going to go back with lighter shades over it. And we're going to hit it with a wash to bring out a dark wash, to bring out the details and the crevices and all that. And then we're going to hit it with a highlight to make it more brassy, goldy colored. So don't you worry. You got to build up the color slowly. You got to trust in the process. But the fun part about trusting in the process is that if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what's part of the process. And it just looks bad the entire time until you end up with something that makes you less angry than before. The next color I've mixed up is the gold color with a drop of green and several more drops of yellow. And as you can see, fairly green. But then so is aged brass. Slowly building up that color. Each little layer adds to the previous layer. Okay, so next up we're going to be using something called a wash. This one is a brownish color, dark brown. It's basically just paint but super, super watered down. If you don't have this, you can literally just make it by taking a dark colored paint and watering it down super, super, super watery. So I'll even put this over here to show you how watery. See, it's basically just a liquid. See how thin that is? And then you're just gonna come in here and just get it everywhere. Get it into those nooks and crannies. Gonna bring out details, perhaps details we don't want, like fingerprints and stuff like that, but it's also gonna add quite some depth that we wish to have. See, it's filling in those eye slots. Just gonna do a quick once over. It happens so fast with this thing. Again, you gotta trust the process. It is looking like a dirty Shrek turkey right now, but you just gotta trust the process. You gotta make it dirty before you can make it clean. You've never been able to clean something that was already clean. Well, I would like to get a little more in that eyeball. For the next color, I mixed up more of the gold with more of the yellow and a drop or two of that base Shrek color. And we're just gonna come in and brush a bit of that color on here. Just try to hit the highlights. You don't have to go in the nooks and crevices, because if you do, you'll get rid of all of the darkening you just did. This is kind of like dry brushing. Just trying to hit the raised surfaces, because you want to keep that darkness in there. It adds depth. Just hitting it with the edge of the bristles. For the back smoother parts, obviously, there's not much depth you can get out of that. But for the face especially, you want to keep that in there. And I got gold, I got yellow. This would be so much easier if I just had a brass colored paint. I'm thinking, at least for now, that's about as good as that's going to get. I'm gonna go try and hit it with a clear coat, I guess. Also, something kind of funny about this cord, I dropped it again, about this cord, is that it's pretty short. So if I were to put this on, it's like a choker. I'd say it's about the right size though, the thing. In the screenshots, it looks about correct. I am just gonna throw it at her. This little golden turkey. Battery power 1%. I guess my phone's gonna die. Thank you for watching. Come back next time, where I believe what we're gonna do is paint some minis, because I got a biggie over here that consists of multiple pieces. This is just the base for it. This thing's huge. I very much look forward to painting that, but I gotta do a bit of a primer video. Get it? I'm painting minis. So, thank you for watching, and I hope yours came out much better than mine did. If you've got any advice on how I could better sculpt next time, please let me know in the comments below, and thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button, and if you want to stick around for more art videos, hit the subscribe button. Thank you!